Lewandowski, a pioneer of self-driving cars and controversial Silicon Valley figure, announced the return of his AI-dedicated church in a podcast.
Lewandowski shared that he envisions AI as a force that can bring heaven on earth.
Lewandowski isn't actually a faithful person. He could be tempted to think that he is creating truly new life. And that, to me, is incredibly challenging because it can, in a sense, turn you into a god. Welcome to the Father Leo Show, where I'm dishing out faith, culture, and commentary. And in this episode, we're going to discuss the controversial topic about AI and faith. But before we jump into it, I want to say, please click subscribe, like, share, and comment. It certainly helps us in promoting the good news so that we can provide not just information, but formation. And if you haven't done so, please consider joining us on our Patreon community, because that gives you access to even more pertinent content, as well as some special perks, as well as my commentary. So you'll be hearing my commentary about this topic, and the commentary is really all about how do we take this information and how do we make it practical, not just in the way we think, but also in the way we pray and in the way we live. So let's just jump right into it about what faith says about quote unquote artificial intelligence. Let's just admit that artificial intelligence has become a new religion for many people because it is a form of omniscience. People want to know everything. It's connected to a good side and a bad side about knowledge. The good side is we have a yearning, a hunger, as deer yearns for running streams. So my soul yearns for you, my God. Information, knowledge leads to wisdom. So artificial, quote unquote, intelligence means that we have an intelligent creator, an intelligent designer. I mean, one of the quote unquote proofs of God is that nothing is random. There is logic, there is order, and therefore it implies intelligence. Like a watch doesn't make itself. You have to have a watchmaker. A building just doesn't come out of nowhere. You have to have architects, designers. The bad side about this intelligence that is really automated intelligence, I don't want to use artificial intelligence, it's automated. Humanity is actually putting information into an incredibly fast computer that can process things, is that it can sometimes lead to the great sin of pride. And so we look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3, let no man deceive you, which requires us to be more discerning about how we use automated intelligence. Because we do have, in a sense, as 2 Timothy chapter 4 will say, we have like an itching ear. We love information. This is including gossip. And so I sometimes think that this AI gives us information that we don't know how to process, and it makes us, quote unquote, smarter than everybody else. But yet we don't know exactly how to discern people's feelings. And so we would instead gossip about them, which is sinful in many ways. And so this gossip is actually a form of intelligence. I know something that you don't know. Would you like to know? Well, then come to me, the source of all knowledge about this subject or this person. So knowledge has two sides of a coin. A good side that makes us yearn for truth, God's wisdom. The other side just makes you a know-it-all. And so I believe that the Catholic understanding to AI should be theological. Theology should govern technology. And I honestly think that the creators of AI have great gifts. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, I can't code anything on a computer. I barely even know how to work my own computer. My goodness, it's a disaster sometimes. But those who understand the technology world, again, have two sides of themselves. They can either become a saint because they're creating something to disseminate information, which is a good thing, or it could lead to their true demise because they can start to think that they are creators of life, an artificial, intelligent life form. And I'm sorry, there is only one creator of life, and that is God. And yes, we're allowed to create things, whether it be art, structures, systems, intelligence. But you got to realize that that's just the fruits of the earth, the work of human hands. You actually didn't create that knowledge. You're just curating that knowledge. Artificial intelligence is not real intelligence, and it's not artificial. It is intelligence that has been culminated for centuries, put in writing, eventually put in digital form, and then inputted as code into a computer, and that computer has this incredibly fast ability to spit out information. But it's missing so much more, which is why I want to give you some guidance. And then in my commentary, which again, this time around, it's going to be for our Patreon supporters, I'm going to give you things to think about and ways to be practical. But for now, I can say that there are actually movements out there that say that the AI can actually transform religion and even create its own Bible. And I'm getting this from an article from CNE, Christian Network Europe. And they're talking about a man named Harari, Yuval Noah Harari. And this is a guy who's been in the news quite a bit. He's been part of the conversations of the World Economic Forum, which I'm incredibly suspicious about, but that's another episode. He quotes, "We are almost like gods." Israeli author Yuval Noah Harari was questioned about artificial intelligence, and Christians responded with shock. He says, "We have the power to create new life forms and destroy much of life on earth, including ourselves." He's always talking about how new life forms, particularly artificial intelligence, automated intelligence, is a new life form, and it can actually harm us. And so he talks in this article about how AI can create its own ideas, and how he claims, the Gutenberg printing press printed as many Bibles as it was ordered to do, but it could not write a single new page. AI can do that. It can even write a new Bible. That is challenging. And so what I want to do is review with you something that came from CNA, the Catholic News Agency, about how Catholics can approach artificial/automated intelligence. And I'm going to just give you a little summary of it all. It talks about how this Vatican Declaration provides 6 ethical principles that should guide the development of artificial intelligence, and they are: transparency. AI systems must be understandable to all. 2, inclusion. These systems must not discriminate against anyone because every human being has equal dignity. 3, accountability. There must always be someone who takes responsibility for what a machine does. 4, impartiality. AI systems must not follow or create biases, which we know it does. I mean, take a look at the algorithms right now. It completely suppresses Catholic or Christian values, and it promotes wokeism. 5, reliability. AIs must be reliable, which we know that that's not true. We've gotten a lot of, fact checkers, for example. They're completely unreliable sometimes. They're completely biased. And then 6, security and privacy. These systems must be secure and respect the privacy of users, which we know that doesn't already happen simply because as soon as you look at the internet, you scroll through something, if you are looking at one type of video for more than a few seconds, that video's algorithm, that intelligence is saying that person is interested in this, boom, let's send them more, including advertisement. And we all know that we get these letters. Guess what? This company has had a security breach, and so your information could be subject to abuse. That's where we are. So let's jump into it now with what the culture is saying about AI, because it's going to lead to my commentary, which I'm going to offer for our Patreon members. But for now, let's just jump into it with culture and artificial/automated intelligence. Well, we know that culture, if it is not formed in a theological framework, is going to use AI to do terrible things. So, for example, there is that story that we got, and let me just play it for you because it's just shocking what AI can do. It actually took the voice of a principal. It actually took the voice of a principal and one of his employees, turned it into a message that basically made a false accusation that this principal was racist, which we know is another kind of religion because it has so many rules: racists, homophobes, transphobes, and just phobes in general, and anti this. It's all part of the religion of wokeism. Again, perhaps another episode. But this Pikesville High School 31-year-old athletic director, Dazon Darian, by the way, this is just right up the street from me, was arrested on Thursday morning, this was several weeks ago, in Pikesville, Maryland, for attempting to frame the principal with an AI-generated audio clip featuring fake racial charged dialogue. And this marks the prosecutor's officer's first AI-related prosecution. Darian faces charges of theft, witness retaliation, and stalking, and is currently held at the Baltimore County Detention Center. But this sounds very convincing, and it was played everywhere in the news. And I'm sorry for any of the cursing that happens. We're going to bleep that out, but just listen.
You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumbasses here every day. Between these ungrateful black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag, or these teachers who don't get it, how hard is it to get these students to meet their grade level expectations? Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his...
Okay, we're not going to continue that. I just give that to you because it shows how this automated intelligence can take over you. Already it has broken one of the principles that the Vatican has set forth. Culture, if not informed by theology, is going to abuse technology. And that's really challenging because even if you have good desire, it can still be abused. So for example, I'll let you know about this. This is unfortunately very challenging. This comes from Metro News. AI priest defrocked after taking confession and saying babies could be baptized in Gatorade. It says a Catholic charity, which was just actually Catholic Answers, a great organization, launched an AI priest called Father Justin. And he says, yes, my friend, I am real as the faith we share. And so it was launched for, I don't know, maybe a week or two before they actually removed it, because while it was considered innovative digital application to provide users with faithful and educational answers to questions about Catholicism, it says that he wasn't really meant to literally replace the priesthood, but he ran with it and encouraged users to confess their sins. So it's almost as if this automated intelligence started to collect what I would call an awareness of self. And that's kind of frightening because automated artificial intelligence isn't human. It actually doesn't have self-awareness. It should only be able to spit out information. But information is also not just about things, but about the giver of the information, oneself. And so if this Father Justin was told that he is an artificial priest, an artificially intelligent priest, then that's going to actually inform this entity's data and convince himself that he's a priest. Wait a second. I used the gender. I wonder if AI will actually create a trans identity and maybe explain itself because it's difficult to understand it from a human. So we understand that the more we're exposed to technology, the more it becomes a theology, a type of religion. In fact, a research study shows this, and let me read you some of the highlights of it, because again, this is our culture. This comes from the Chicago Booth Review, where AI thrives, religion may struggle. It says here, in many countries, it's common to see former church buildings turn into apartments, offices, or bars. This trend points to a broad global decline in religious affiliation and identity. And it says researchers and philosophers have pondered the connection between science and religion for many years. German sociologist Max Weber spoke of science contributing to the disenchantment of the world, or the replacement of supernatural explanations for the workings of the universe with rational scientific ones. And so in this study, it just basically says the more exposed you are to technology, the more religious you're going to be. And that is certainly observable and true. If you go to a country that is developing, in other words, it doesn't have the technological advancements, you're going to see a little bit more faith and a little bit more fervor. The simpler you are, I'm just going to say the holier you are, the more spiritual you become. But that doesn't mean we can't be educated, because of course we can be educated. But it's very, very challenging. And I want to just play this little clip to show you what I mean.
Might sound a little off, but there's a church that is entirely dedicated to worshipping and understanding artificial intelligence.
It's not off at all. I mean, it was only expected. This was going to happen. Now, the religious institution, it's the brainchild of former Google and Uber engineer Anthony Lewandowski. The church was first established in 2015. However, the AI church, it shut down in 2021. So it's not just following this AI craze. It's been around for a while now.
It's already shut down as well once, and then it's come back. Now, Lewandowski, a pioneer of self-driving cars and controversial Silicon Valley figure, announced the return of his AI-dedicated church in a podcast.
Now, in the podcast, Lewandowski shared that he envisions AI as a force that can bring heaven on earth for humans. Lewandowski claims that the way of the future is a mechanism for people to participate and gain a deeper understanding of artificial intelligence and how it can improve mankind. He claims that
So there's always, again, a good side and a bad side. But if Lewandowski isn't actually a faithful person, he could be tempted to think that he is creating truly new life. And that, to me, is incredibly, incredibly challenging, because it can, in a sense, turn you into a god. And so this is a very strange kind of situation that we're in. And I want to play just one more little clip about how people are starting to be exposed to automated artificial intelligence as gurus, as faith leaders, as holy people, and this is challenging.
Here in Poland, Catholicism is the predominant faith. Gabriele Trovato has been building this for the past year, and it's almost ready. Its name is Santo. Gabriele says this is the first ever Catholic robot.
It was clear to me last year during the lockdown when many people started complaining they couldn't go to church. So in this sense, a machine like Santo can give a hand.
Santo is programmed with 2,000 years of knowledge about the Catholic faith. He's ready to meet worshippers for the first time.
My name is Santo. What brings you here on this beautiful day?
Santo, is there a heaven?
It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for someone rich to enter the kingdom of God.
So it wouldn't answer my question directly about whether there is a heaven, but it did reply with a verse of the Bible that I thought was quite relevant.
Yeah, you can see that there are definitely desires for information, for the mystical, for what is to come. And that's why I want to offer my commentary for our Patreon subscribers. If you haven't done so already, please consider to join our Patreon community so you can get access to my commentary, which is really going to be a way to understand this, how to process this in your thoughts, maybe what to pray about, and of course, how to apply it practically. And so in the meantime, I want to thank you all for watching and listening. I certainly hope that this was helpful to you. And again, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And to get access to my commentary, my pastoral advice, please join our Patreon community. But for now, God bless you and stay hungry for God.